start moving us towards wrapping up here today. And in doing that, I want to just plant the seed, and this really moves into the fourth purpose of our event today. Explore how dialogic communication can be used in different cross-cultural situations. So we have the scenarios here today, those three scenarios, and we focused in on those. We saw when Derek and Laura performed the U.S. faculty member and the Finnish exchange student. Where else do you see dialogue working across cultural differences? What are some contexts where you can apply these skills that are important and meaningful to you? Go ahead.
The workplace, there's a lot of different cultures happening.
Great. In the workplace, Garrett said, lots of different cultural experiences and so forth. And that's so true across the world now. But here in Silicon Valley, we are just rich with the cultural diversity within our organizations. So I'm just imagining a team in a high-tech company that has an engineer from India, an engineer from China, a marketing person from Finland, a marketing person from the United States, and the manager is an older senior person from the East Coast of the United States. The diversity just in that team. How does that team work through those differences, not just to tolerate each other, not just in order to get by, but to maximize the diversity, right? To actually be innovative because of the diversity. That's one of the secrets of Silicon Valley, is using diversity as a leverage point to come up with new ideas and innovation. So the workforce, really important. And that's just not a good thing to do. It's a critical thing to do for companies to get a strategic advantage. Yes? So the response was around traveling. And so you're traveling internationally to other countries. Anybody heard of the stereotype of the ugly American tourist? And it's not ugly physical wise, right? What is the ugly American tourist?
Socks with flip-flops.
Socks with flip-flops, okay. Just not dressing the part, okay. We'll give them that. That's like bad news, okay. But what from a communication perspective, what does that ugly American tourist do?
Yeah. Loud and disrespectful.
Loud and disrespectful. This is the way I communicate in my culture, and I'm just bringing that with me to the next culture. And this is who I am, and I'm not adapting to the culture that I'm in, right? And actually, the hypocrisy is you adapt to me, and I'm in your culture. Oh, right? That ability to adapt to your surroundings and to the culture that you're in, what a huge learning experience, right? Because it's not just about getting along, it's also about learning myself about what it's like to be in that culture. What is it like to experience the world from that perspective? What a huge growth opportunity. And I know this because I've met former JAMK students who have come here and worked with them. This is a huge part of why you're here, is to broaden your perspective. And for the good traveler, that's a good reason for traveling internationally. What else? Where else would you want to see this apply? Reggie?
Personal family relationships.
Yeah.
Mom, dad.
Good.
Because especially when you're in an argument with your mom or dad. Because that's me.
Yes.
They don't hear me out, but I also want to be in dialogue and express myself so they can get a better perspective of what I'm trying to say to them.
Excellent. So Reggie's talking about in the family, dialogue within the family. And what's interesting about that, well, there's no diversity in the family, right? We're all in the same family. But Reggie just situated that around his parents and himself. That's generational diversity. And that's a huge set of diversity. That's a huge difference to overcome. I know growing up in my family, my dad looked at the world differently because he grew up at a different time than I did. And I used to say how old-fashioned he was and out of step he was and so forth. And he probably thought the same thing about me and didn't understand me. And we didn't always deal with our differences very well. But that's a huge part of being in a family, is dealing with that kind of generational difference. So even at home, right, you're going to encounter cultural differences, communicating with others who have different experiences, different lenses, different ways of viewing the world. And do we recoil from those, avoid those kinds of differences, and just back away? Be too open? Do we confront the other? It's an argument, it's a win-lose situation, and my difference has to be better than your difference, and then we get in the aggressive polarization? Well, that's another option. Dialogue gives us the third way. To stand your ground, express your differences, and be open to the differences on the other side of the conversation. So, we're going to now move towards the evaluation step, but just in wrapping this up here today, I hope this was a great experience for you. Risto, please.
Yes.
I would love for you to give a closing remark.
Okay, today, as you know, our students, they're obliged to speak in English. How many of you have expressed yourself in other language than English today? Than English today, which language?
Spanish.
Spanish. Do you feel comfortable with that language?
Yeah, it's my first time.
The first language, anyway. But if it's not your first language, then you have to struggle through all the time the words, the grammar, the sentences. And in that case, like our students here today, they have to think what to say next. But if they spoke in Finnish, the conversation would be much more flexible, much more fluent. There are not so many pauses or silences. It's perhaps not the typical way we speak in Finland, like in this situation here, expressed on the stage. In that case, when you speak other language, when coming to Europe, French, German, Swedish or Finnish, you have to stop your own culture, because you have to adapt the language in your mind first, then your thoughts, then what comes out, maybe a little bit awkward to the speaker you're going to go through. That's a very good exercise for the Finnish to come here and have all in English, but then when you come to Finland, if you come to Finland and you start speak English there, the situation is different. You are in a different country, and then you may find much more easy perhaps to speak with the Finns because you are in Finland and they feel comfortable in Finland. Now they are out from Finland and they're a bit, we are afraid of the whole situation and what happens because you are stronger than we are. Majority.
Yes.
Try to take languages for your life, not only English. When you take another language, you understand what's behind the culture of that language. Without a new language, you can't open any culture. It has to be one foreign language, at least. Then the world is completely different for the dialect which you have to use.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you, Risto. Yes.
That's a very good point because in our dialogue circle, the challenges, when we talk about the challenges,
Yes.
That was a topic that we brought up was language is a barrier sometimes, and that counts as a challenge because we can't really understand or express ourselves the way we want to if we don't know their language. So I was using an example when I was in the gym, I was trying to speak to a Chinaman. And he was like, I can't explain. He was like, I can't explain myself to you because I don't understand English. And I couldn't ask him like certain questions. So gestures was what we were trying to communicate with. But even though gestures is not enough sometimes to communicate, to create dialogue. So we have a member in our group that she speaks Finnish, but she speaks English slightly a little bit. And it was like we said, it was more pauses when she was speaking English, but when she speaks Finnish, like it was like straight to the point. So that's a good point.
Yeah, absolutely. And then not to draw conclusions about the other person as they're speaking a language that is not their native language, right? Because we may draw assumptions and conclusions, and that too is a difference that we need to engage and encounter. Let's give everybody a round of applause for a great event.